Hi friends, how are you doing today? I have not recorded a video for a very long time. I thought I will find a good topic. So yes, I have found something for you today. So it's called Cyber Kill Chain. It's one of the framework which was developed by Lockheed Martin, and it was derived from a military model wherein you have to identify, prepare an attack and engage and destroy the target. It has evolved and then has been heavily used in a cybersecurity field. It has got 7 stages. It's like these 7 stages are something you have to recognize, which will be really useful. Uh, the 7 stages like reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, actions on objectives. So I will be going through all of these in the next few slides. I think will be useful for you. And I will be putting up two perspectives. One is from the advisory, which you can think of a evil on the opponent side, and then the hero, which is on the defender, which might be you playing as a role. So let's move to the next slide, and I take you to the phases. Okay, here we are. This slide is talking about adversary. So you can take it as adversary uh, as an opponent rather than I put the word evil, which sounds too negative. So adversary is someone who will be your opponent, and as you are playing as a defender role, is someone we are trying to understand how they or what tactics they use to get into your environment. Or so adversary, I would say they all of them use the same 7 phases. They could be using the same techniques which you have. But moreover, they're trying to identify the target. Then they also like again plan up a attack and then destroy the target. Okay. So let's go through the phases and then we'll be able to understand more. So first is reconnaissance, wherein let's say they have identified a target. They want to understand what are the email addresses, what who are the employees. They can hook up into the social web, social engineering websites, or they can also look for some internet facing servers which can be easily exploited. Okay, then once they have identified what means they will be using it, they will be creating some, or they will be looking something as a weapon. So this weapon could be, maybe they have find a vulnerability on the website, so that could be one of the backdoor, or they compile something and then they try to packet and parcel that to different protocols or different means. Okay, which comes into the next phase, which is called delivery. So let's say you get a malicious email, or you find a malware on a USB stick or a social media. They ask you to click a link, and the link takes you to a website where it gets, download any software, and then uh, which could be looks legit. Okay, then once it is delivered, that's where in actually they try to exploit. So ultimately they are trying to see whether this exploit what they have provided or the payload can be used against the software, or the vulnerabilities they have identified. Okay, it could be attached via an email, malicious links, or it could be in a form of a USB stick. It's kind of a software the ultimate purpose is to deliver to you, then enable and install on your machine. So that leads to the installation. Once it is there, the web shell has to be installed. The backdoors will be created. It could be hidden in your services, in your registry, in your auto key runs. Okay. So once it is done, it will form a channel which is called a C2, command and control. It is a two-way communication wherein mostly the system or the adversary is trying to contact or collect information about your network. So they still remain silent before they actually have the persistent, and then that's the last step. What they have is the objective. So objective is usually your data. So data could be collected in different forms, and the data can be even corrupted. So how it is done is once they actually get into the system, they try to do a lateral movement and then do a horizontal movement, and then they do a privilege escalation. And with this, the ultimate goal is either they want to destroy the system, they want to corrupt your data, or exfiltrate the data. So yeah, they also have could be interrupting the system. So again, it all boils down to what exactly they want to perform, whether they want to as we talk about the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So that's the whole objective of it. The next slide will talk about defender. So let's start from there. Thanks. Okay, so here we talk about this slide which talks about how you as a defender can also use the same framework and identify what are the techniques you can use to secure your network or your environment or your ecosystem. Okay, so the first thing we talk about reconnaissance, definitely. Then let's say you have someone who's trying to get information from your websites, web scraping. So that one you can do if you have logs which alerts you that there is some kind of detection. Especially you have to use technology and people to defend yourself. Okay, then weaponization is more or how, let's say, you should be aware about the new campaigns and new payloads which are there. So you have to be getting the threat intel information. Also read more about the malware analysis or kind of malwares available and how they're being used, how they are being wrapped around and become a trojan and then delivered to the environment. As part of the delivery, the important point is how it is delivery and then how it is delivered, or I would say point of delivery. So you have to understand whether it's like a user is being forced to or persuaded to click a link, or it is something a USB stick was passed through, or it was via email. So user awareness plays a very significant role is because user is the weakest link among all this chain. Okay, then comes in exploitation, or yeah, which again falls back to user awareness. Like we should not be clicking on the link. So you can run phishing campaigns. You can train your developers to have a secure coding, do a regular vulnerability scanning to identify the vulnerabilities on the server side, on the network devices, patch them regularly. Okay, as part of the security tools, you can make use of SIEM. You can also use HIP alerts, which is host intrusion prevention systems. Also identify how you can see privilege escalation, how you can monitor privilege access, or like you can use certain tools like privilege management, especially user behavior. Uh, what are the login timings? What are the log off timings? How the user is behaving. So it's quite good to, there could be chances that you are already being have a C2 connection. So the best way is what are the connections going out of your network. So you can look into the web proxy logs. You can look into the DNS entries being made. Are they being immediately created and cleared off immediately? So those kind of outgoing connections is something which are quick hits and should be monitored very closely. On top of that, there has to be, let's say, there are. It says that there are two kind of organization: one which has got breach, and then one which are not. So, or they will be breached at some point in time. So the point is how well you're prepared. So the administrative controls, like you should have an incident playbook, you should have executive members or teams, or you should have support from your higher management. You should have a communication plan in case a breach happens. Who needs to identify, how you're gonna you know uh, part this information to the user. And again, the important thing is how you do a damage assessment. How much damage is caused? Is it something which is a low end, or is something on the on something on the national level? So those things you have to keep in mind. But if you see in the contrast, both adversary and defender, they use the same framework, and then you have your actions and that can be implemented and that can secure your environment. So with this, I think I conclude. I think it's quite easy, and then I think I would suggest remember these 7 stages, steps, and it will be really helpful in your cybersecurity assessments. Okay, goodbye. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thanks again for taking time. If you like the video, please share, subscribe to my channel, and appreciate. Thanks again.